Okay, here we are at the Vilcabamba Clinic, and you can see that there is the entrance, and this is where you would go register. Just go inside here a little bit and see. This is admissions right here, and where you would get an appointment with, and there's where you, pharmacia, and the clinical laboratory. And back here is, through there is the emergency room, and I will take you to the entrance, back entrance. So the entrance to the emergency room is just around the corner here, as you can see. And we'll walk around there. So here we are at the back entrance. Beautiful view of the mountains. And you just come in here, and there's your emergency entrance to the clinic. And been here a number of times in the evening with a taxi driver taking us, and they will take care of you amazingly. And there is the entrance to the emergency room. All right. And that's it, folks. We will talk about healthcare. Hey, this is a dude. So that was the clinic. I took that picture the other day. I also recorded about health and healthcare a couple days ago as well. I was going to re-record the video, but I kind of listened to it. It's I was pretty tired that evening, so it kind of drags a little bit, so excuse that. I listened to it though, and it really did. I did cover really all the points that I wanted to cover. I think a couple of things that I might have missed was, the clinic. First of all, everything is free in the clinic, so they'll give you medication. Anytime we've had emergency, we've gone into the clinic, and they've really helped us out. I never felt that I was being treated by a doctor that didn't know what they were doing. They really kind of cover their bases. Their equipment there, being a biomedical engineer, it really sucks. The EKG that I wanted him to do on, who is it? My daughter, she was having like a lot of palpitations and stuff. And I asked them to do an EKG, and they brought out this machine. They couldn't even get it to work. So, like I've said in my videos, that if you're, you have a lot of heart, a lot of conditions, physical conditions that, needs real constant medical attention, then I would really, have second thoughts about moving to Ecuador. But again, if you're a pretty healthy person and you just want to kind of get healthier and you don't rely too much on modern medicine, then I think this is a great place. And you're going to get, like I had mentioned, all the good air, water, food is great. And you will get healthier. I guarantee that, especially with the walking that you will probably do all the time, like I am doing. So this video coming up, I recorded a couple nights ago. I was in kind of funky mood, and so it kind of drags, but it does get better. I was listening to it, and I don't know if it was worth. Sometimes when you record something and you get all the information, and then you try to redo it, even though it kind of drags, or I was kind of in a bit funky mood that night. I still was pulling out all this stuff, and I just don't think that I could probably do it in the same manner. So you know, just given the fact that the only thing I want to add is I had a friend of mine who's a biomedical technician come in. He actually went to um, one of the public hospitals, and their equipment technology, maintenance program, everything is really a lot to be desired. So, um, like I said, I didn't come here to get like medical care, and I think the doctors are very well trained, and I think I have never felt that I was in the hands, at least the experiences we've had, and it hasn't been a ton of experiences because we're rarely in hospitals or rarely in going to the clinic, but I always felt that um, uh, they're well trained medical personnel. I think one of the things you got to keep in mind is that they really practice medicine in a very strict kind of the traditional way of using drugs. And I had taken my son to an ear specialist, an ears no an ear nose and throat specialist, and was asking for he has a sinus problem as one who has autism, and and I told him, like, we don't want anything with cortisone, steroids, anything with steroids. And and I had my friend who speaks Spanish, translating for us, and he made it very clear. And the doctor says, no, 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 no steroids. And, the medicine he gave us turned out to be steroids and totally screwed up his homeopathic remedy. So it's you kind of have to be careful on that. They're going to be using traditional, modern medicines to treat things, and I think the United States may be a bit more evolved in look, being um, more cautious maybe in using some of these drugs for things. I mean, at least the doctors we've worked with. But as I mentioned, there are some good medical doctors here in Vilcabamba and in Loja that just use a combination of drugs, modern medicine drugs when they really really have to, but typically are trying. One doctor here, Doctor Sonia Romero, her name is. Amazing doctor, and I think her um, parents or grandparents were like herbalists, and so she comes from a family of using natural medicines, and she really treats a lot of the foreign population here that come to live here, and she speaks English, and so she's a great doctor in town, and so so just be aware that you know don't expect the medical equipment to be to the level you'll find in the United States, because that program, the biomedical program in all the hospitals in the United States is like, I think, probably not that they don't have access to some of the new equipment, they do, but the fact that in the level it's being maintained and operational is does I don't think it even compares to anything in the States. I think the biomed program in the States really does keep the medical equipment running in a very tip top shape and very correctly. So, it comes down to that same conclusion that if you have a lot of medical issues, um, I would look into those, what kind of care you're going to be able to get, and kind of do that maybe before you decide to move here. But if you don't have those, then it's a great place. And in the video here that's going to come that I recorded a couple nights ago, I'm going to talk about a lot about some of the people that didn't have such a great outcome and are no longer on the planet, and who had different illnesses. Um, so anyway, here goes what I recorded a few days ago. And like I said, it kind of drags at the beginning. It's kind of tired and stuff, but I cover a lot of points, so just bear with me there. And if you have any questions, as I mentioned in the end of the video, please leave your questions. I've been answering questions people have after they've watched the video. And this is just like my opinion. I've been here for 3 years, and I'm sure people have different opinions. But this is just the way I see things, and I hope that it helps you. Great. Take care. Hey, this is a dude with installment number 4, which is going to be about health and healthcare in Vilcabamba / Loja, and tell you as much as I know about it and what I've experienced since I've been here for the last 3 years. And when we came here for the first year, I would have to say it was extremely difficult as far as our health was concerned. First of all, our bodies were not adjusted to the environment at all, and to the foods, to the bugs. We were just like strangers in a strange land. And we're pretty healthy. I mean, we eat really well, very healthy foods. And, occasionally pick up something and quickly get rid of it. But I think when we got here, I can just remember the first year as just being totally, on the toilet most of the time. No, it was, everybody, even my wife, I think she lost like 70 pounds or something, and she was as skinny as she ever was. And it was more of a parasite weight loss diet, I guess you'd say. But I think, it takes a while. I mean, there's some people that have commented, somebody made a comment on one of my videos that she's been in South America and she never had any health problems. And, I made a blanket statement that, people come here and, just plan on spending the first year, just having a lot of health issues because your body has never experienced this place before. So it doesn't know the bugs. It doesn't understand the bacteria, whatever is going on. And so it has to kind of just like a learning curve. And I would say for us, the first year, it took about a year. And, one of the things I mentioned in one of my other videos is what to bring was definitely come here with a big canister of food grade charcoal because it really helps. Right now, my daughter, my 8-year-old, picked up some kind of bug, and it was stomach related, and we basically have a water bottle filled with charcoal water, and just drinking that, downing vitamin C, and a couple of homeopathic remedies I've used. And she is on the road to recovery. It's like maybe been a day and a half of illness, but it's a really tough one. I mean, it's actually going on. Let's see, 2 nights I was up with her, and it's going on the 3rd night, and she's pretty recovered at this point. I think I'm going to get some sleep tonight. So charcoal is, definitely one of the main things I keep talking about because it really has saved us on many levels. So with that being said, if you're, I don't know, Ecuadorian people, the way they look at health is, I don't think they think about health the way extranjeros, they come here and, they're used to seeing their doctors all the time, getting antibiotics, every time there's some kind of illness or being treated, getting drugs, medications, and all of that. And I don't think the Ecuadorian people see health that way. I think, you get an illness, you just kind of runs through you, finish, you're stronger for it, get over it. I don't even think they take vitamin C like I do, but with all the good citrus fruits around, I suspect that has a lot to do with keeping them healthy. And when I ran out of my ester vitamin C once, and I was really sick, I said, well, vitamin C is in tangerines here and oranges, and so I started eating tangerines, and I quickly found that the magic number for me was like 20 tangerines a day, that I would get the same effect as my ester vitamin C that I was using. So you can get, you know, you don't have to have this special vitamin C that I'm talking about. And tangerines have all the makings of this. I mean, it has all of its components that vitamin C requires to be active is in the tangerine. As a matter of fact, this vitamin C that I was talking about, the ester C, has tangerine extract in it, I think, if I recall on the ingredients. So one of the things that I would get very friendly with the fruit around here, the citrus fruit. And, I think that's a really good, helpful, um, you know, very good, helpful thing to be eating all the time to keep, healthy and sick, not being sick. So, I think as far as your digestive system here, it is, I would say this last year, even the last 6 months of this last third year that I've been here, that my digestive tract seems to be working at its best. I have to say that it's been up and down, up and down, up and down, and what comes out is you can pretty much tell how your body's working. And I have to say, what's coming out now is a good indication that my body is digesting things, and I don't have a lot of parasites. I have good, probiotics going on inside. And I don't really think you have to have probiotic foods. I mean, I think the fermented vegetables are really great, and yogurt and things that help, with kind of setting up the flora. But I think your body can naturally set that up, and I think we're just by based on what we're eating. So maybe I'm getting some good bacteria from our veggies that we don't overwash around here. But I think I want to talk a little bit about insurance, because that's a big thing that they've changed here. Is that extranjeros that are moving here have to have health insurance. So in Ecuador, healthcare is free, but I think what they found out is foreigners come here, they're used to seeing a doctor all the time, they just overuse the medical system, and it can't take this extra load of foreigners coming and using it, and taking away the services from the locals, because the local people use it when they really have to. They're kind of like me. I don't ever see doctors unless I'm deathly sick, and then I'm trying to figure out what's going on so that I can kind of treat it myself. Um, and so I think the free healthcare is a practical system when it's being used like it's being used by the locals. Is that you get slashed, or laceration, something that you need to get sewed up, or you're deathly ill, or you think you had a heart attack or something like that. They use it in that form. So as a consequence of that, as of I think it was February of 2017, anybody coming in after that or getting their cedula after that has to, or any kind of visa after that, has to have proof of insurance. And I've heard mixed opinions on this. where all people, all extranjeros, has to have health care, and even before, but they for those people who came in before that date, they had up until November of 2017 to get health care. So, but now I'm hearing differently that it's not required, and I kind of had a feeling it was kind of a big it was kind of a tactic to sell insurance. Yeah, it just seemed weird. Anyway, in the process of being um, having to make that decision whether I should buy this local insurance, I have 10 years in the government. That actually retired. My last job as an engineer was working for the VA Medical Center in Tennessee, and I was able to get healthcare benefits, dental and medical care through the government system. And I would have to say that the dental part of that I found extremely helpful. I had gotten all my teeth completely how do you say, rebuilt um, for like $12,000, and the same kind of work would have cost probably around 50,000 in the United States. There's a great dentist here in Loja. He's probably one of the best dentists. He's like in his late 30s, and he's probably one of the best dentists I have ever come across. He speaks English. His name is Luis Carpio, and he does fantastic work. He tore my mouth apart, and underneath there was decay, and it was really shoddy. Work was done on crowns, and I thought I was going to like the best dentist in the United States, and it just turns out that they weren't the best dentists, and so I have used my dental insurance here because dental insurance in the United States typically covers foreign countries, and it really almost paid for all of my work that I had done. And now I have my children all on it. They're getting braces and things and care. So having a policy in the United States can work to your benefit if you can find, a dentist that you can work with that could, make receipts for your work, and you can send them in. And I believe the same thing will work with the medical. I recently added my whole family back onto my medical policy, as opposed to getting dental. I mean, as opposed to getting the healthcare policy that they were selling here to the extranjeros. And it turned out to be the same amount by adding my family to my healthcare there. Now, um, I have yet to test it out and see, get receipts and send it in. But it's pretty cool because I can just send it into my insurance bills. They deposit money into my checking account, and I really don't have to go through a lot of aggravation getting reimbursement. So I would say to so I think that insurance is something you're gonna have to look at, but it is required. And I think that I get a letter from my insurance company in the United States verifying that it covers Ecuador. I think I'll be okay as far as any kind of requirements for insurance that they may still say that. So that's a subject that you probably need to explore yourself a little bit deeper. I can just say what worked for me, and I haven't really tried using my American policy at the hospitals. I mean, for sure, I would have to get a receipt and send it in, and we're going to see how that works out. But at least I'm covered if I go back to the States with my family, and I'm also covered here. So that's what I chose to do. As far as healthcare available in Vilcabamba, there are some holistic practitioners here, that medical doctors that work with natural approaches to things. The clinic in Vilcabamba has always, serviced us with many times not even registering in. We just came in and boom, boom, boom. They helped us. There was no even paperwork, and that was that. I'm sure that that probably wasn't correct procedure, but you know, there's never a correct procedure in Ecuador. It kind of goes. Everything is being kind of um, um, you know, in the moment. This is what's happening, and this is how it's going. So I've always really had good luck at the clinic. It's free. You could see doctors privately for free as well. You have to make an appointment there in the clinic for pediatricians or specialists. But um, I would really have second thoughts about if you have a lot of health issues coming here. I've um, there if you're really one of these people that uh, relies extremely on doctors to kind of guide you and take care of your problems and you're on medications, um, I would have a lot of second thoughts about moving here. I think if, like, I never go to doctors. I never take my kids to doctor. My daughter was, high fever last night, 103. I mean, I had to put her in the shower like 3 times last night because her fever got so high. And I mean, a lot of parents would be rushing their kid to the hospital or giving massive doses of Tylenol to reduce the fever. To me, the fever is like that's a great thing. That shows that you're trying to kill whatever is trying to kill you. So I let the fever get you know to the point where I can see it's causing disturbances in the child, and then I put him in the shower and I cool him down, and we just keep going up and down and through that process until it kind of normalizes the fever. I mean, it's not too extreme, but it's enough to do its job. So if you're the kind of person who sees doctors all the time and relies on doctors' medication, antibiotics, you know, then I'm not too sure, especially if you don't speak the language, that Ecuador is a place for you. I think my lifestyle is very much like the Ecuadorian people, and I see health the same way. I think it's taken us 3 years to really adjust. My 5-year-old, who's been here since she was 2, has the best rocking immune system of all of us, and just I think she's gotten sick maybe once, from since we've been here, maybe twice, but it was like you know boom, the next day she was like totally totally well. So um, I think if you perceive health this way, I think you do really well coming and living here. As far as hospitals in Loja, um, that is I can't say I have a lot of experience because again I haven't really utilized them. And our family really hasn't had any tragic accidents and things like that. But again, um, yeah, I can give you some cases of people. Um, the one woman I was talking about in the last video on crime, who was robbed and beat with a crowbar or something, and she was emotionally and physically, really affected by this, break-in that occurred. Um, had some issues, other health issues that were going on, including a mass in her intestine or something. Where even my wife had talked to her, and she says, "Oh no, I'm doing something like drinking my urine or something," which I've heard people do to heal themselves. and so she ends up going to Peru, and then she has an operation, and she dies, and that was that. That was a tragedy. But this woman was not someone who could really take care of herself, um, and really used some extreme logic to know when it's important to go see a regular doctor, and when so if you're kind of out there trying all kinds of weird health things, and you really don't know what you're doing, there's not I you might get yourself in trouble. There's another case of a young woman who had children and just had a baby, and her and her husband were living under a tarp on a mountain or something, and uh, she had breast cancer going on, and I don't know exactly what she was doing, but definitely was not being treated, you know, at one of the hospitals, and she was trying to treat herself or whatever. But you know, another tragedy because she ended up dying, and left these 4 or 5 kids just with their dad, and no mom, and a little baby to boot. So, um, they're these people. I mean, I don't understand why they let things go so far. But I can, give you another example of a woman, a really good friend, that she had lung cancer going on, and she was trying all kinds of different alternative methods and different alternative practitioners, and she ended up having to have a ventilator in her house because she couldn't breathe and get enough oxygen. She had cancer going on, and it was very erratic treatment where um, she there wasn't like one person managing her case, and she really didn't know what she was doing, and she ended up dying as well. So we've had a number. I mean, I consider a significant number of deaths due to, I would say, I hate to use the word stupidity, but there maybe unreasonable thinking, or illogical thinking, or not thinking at all. But or maybe after working in hospitals myself for like 40 years, I kind of see health in a different light than most people. But I would say that if you're coming here with a lot of physical issues and you're thinking, well, I'm going to come to the belly of longevity and be healed, and you're very reliant on modern medicine, then that's a big red flag. That's a big red flag. So I think if you come here and maybe you're pretty smart and you're going to utilize the good air, the good food, the good water to help in your healing process, but you're going to stay really on top of what's going on and use the medical profession and use alternative health care practitioners to kind of help you through the process. And there's a lot of different people here doing a lot of different things that you may find um, easier what you're looking for than you may in Podunk, Iowa or something. Um, so Vilcabamba has a lot of alternative minded practitioners. Um, I know there's a naturopath in town. I study naturopathic medicine, so I haven't really seen a naturopath or a homeopath that I would consider like, really evolved, licensed and all that. And, I mean, it would be great if a really good homeopath moved to Vilcabamba, but there are no really good homeopaths in Vilcabamba. Natural, natural practitioners, MDs that do natural medicine use homeopathy, but they use it in kind of the European fashion of remedies from Germany that have homeopathics in it, and it's not the way homeopathy was meant to be used. So um, there's no homeopaths in town that you could work with. Um, Again, I don't know. I think there's one naturopath I heard in town, but I'm not familiar with him. There are some one MD here. She's an amazing doctor who really works outside of more into the natural approach to things. She's very good. Um, there's another woman doctor in Loja who is really good and works with natural medicines. So there is that available, but like I said, you're not gonna um, find a really good homeopath or really skilled naturopath in ND doctor. Here I haven't seen any NDs. Like I said, naturopaths are quite different. Many of them not even going to school, but consider themselves naturopaths. Um, uh, but so I guess my point I want to make is, if you're coming here and you really rely on natural foods to heal you and natural medicines, and you have a pretty good immune system, and you don't rely on doctors, I think you do really well here. That's kind of the way I am. Um, those people who have not made it too well here, or like don't aren't alive anymore after they moved here, are I think um, really didn't understand what was going on in their body, and really was in some kind of delusional place about their healing. Um, and, I think that has a bad outcome. That's all. So, the clinic here um, has always served me good. I've had some lacerations, some different things with the kids, and boom, 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 they just help out. Um, I mean, in the middle of the night, I don't know that you can call an ambulance, but you better, hook up with some good taxistas, taxi drivers that they know you well, you know them, and in the middle of the night they're going to get out of bed and come and get you and take you to the hospital. Um, One thing I didn't mention when I was talking about crime is when you come here, you could register with the police. They give you a phone number to call. They assign that phone number to a location where you live. So if there is like an emergency, you call this number and a police officer will come to your location. I haven't tried it yet, but I've registered for it and I have that phone number. Um, they probably in a medical emergency would help you out. Um, I'm talking about health, and I have to say that there's been studies done on the food here in Vilcabamba and the water and everything, and it really does have a very high nutritional content. So I've seen. I came here because of my son, born with autism, and we were using homeopathy, and because of all the radiation in the northern hemisphere, we moved to the southern hemisphere, and that's why we're here. I've seen him become um, healthier. I've seen him become progress. He, we've been here 3 years, and he could read a little bit, but he couldn't even add 2 plus 2. He couldn't remember a 3-word phrase, like if you said it to him and him repeating it back. I mean, we've got through all our times tables. We got through adding, subtracting, division problems we're working on, problems like story problems. Comprehension level has gone way up, tremendously way up. I mean, that could be a result of the homeopathic remedies on it, but I think it's also a result of the foods. Very high omega 3s in the foods, lots of minerals, very high mineral content in the vegetables. And we juice like every day, typically, unless we're having soup or something. Um, and I've seen his cognition. I've seen his. I mean, when he first came here, he was running, escaping the house, running into town. We had to try to find him. He wasn't even cognizant of where he was half the time. And now that none of that's an issue anymore. And we walk into town with him, and he hangs out and waits outside the store. Um, he's come incredibly long way in his healing than where we were when we arrived here. I mean, schooling was, uh, just barely getting stuff in. Okay, and so now he's writing stuff. I mean, it's just like maybe it's still like fifth grade level, sixth grade level. He's like 14, but that's like still. I mean, we're talking like first grade level. I mean, I think is where he was and where he's now. I mean, I can actually see him. My other kids are in American Online High School, and I'll talk about education in another video. But I could see him eventually getting into that program. But we still have a ways to go. But I have to say, health wise, my kids are very strong. One of the things you'll find that you're going to be doing a lot of walking when you live here. I don't own a car, and I owned a car in the United States for like 50 years, and it's like now I haven't owned a car for 3 years, and I walk all the time. I know my health is like way better. I know I feel a lot of reverse aging things going on. Um, in my own being, and I look at pictures of me when I was in the United States and versus here, it's like a big difference. So I know that the foods and the lifestyle has affected me greatly with my own health, and I would have to say that that's one of the good things here that you will experience is the plentiful amount of food, vegetables, naturally grown. Um, I think if they're sprayed with chemicals, if you have any kind of perception, you'll know which is the organic and which is not. It doesn't take us but a taste to know that this fruit is like been oversprayed and with chemicals. Okay, um, so um, healthcare is something that I haven't explored to the nth degree. We don't have a lot of health problems in our family that we don't need specialists. So I can't really speak to that, but I would really check it out and look at your options. Um, Perhaps you already have a medical care in the United States and it does cover foreign countries. You may consider keeping that because you're going to get a lot more coverage in the long run. However, one of the things that should be noted is that if you go in a hospital, a private hospital, if you don't have a policy that they accept there, then you're going to have to pay up front all the charges and then try to get reimbursement from your insurance company. So it's kind of a cash up front deal when you go into the hospital, unlike in the United States. So, you should keep that in mind if you have some serious issues going on or you need maybe emergency care or go in a hospital, make sure you have enough funds to cover that. So that's the way things work here. And it's not like where you flash an insurance card, no matter what, they take you, and then boom, 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 they deal with it afterwards. And here they don't. They deal with it up front. So there's no. However, if you go to a public hospital, then of course there's no charge. Um, and I'm not sure the ramifications with this new law, if that's going to affect um, how they, um, how they admit you or charge you. But again, that's been my experience. That's probably the most I can speak of on healthcare. I think the valet longevity speaks for itself. I think that if you're a relatively healthy person and you come here to get more healthy, and you're pretty self-reliant with with your own care, your medical care, I think this is a great place. I think it really lends itself to having the highest quality of food, air, water that you're going to find anywhere in on this planet. So, good luck. I hope I helped in some way. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below this video. And signing out, the dude. Later.